Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So thanks a lot for being with us. Michael is at the East Coast, so it's very early morning then. It's before 7 a.m., so we are really grateful for your presence. And
I'm in California here.
That you talk to a Hungarian audience, and just to know there is a robust skeptic society in Hungary as well. So I think many will be happy to hear your points, and I would just directly jump into the questions to conscious of time. So to jump in the middle of the conversation, you have just published a book, Conspiracy: Why the Rational Believe the Irrational, and one of the main findings of the book is that conspiracy theories are seemingly rational to a certain extent, given that our world is a bit of conspirational. So there are conspiracies in politics, there are conspiracies in economy, there are conspiracies in sports and in corporate life. And my first question would be that all this conspiracy theorizing that is a bit poisoning our information space in the West. So how you think we can differentiate between irrational paranoia and rational suspicion?
Yeah, that's the hard question there. The problem, since you're talking about democracies, is that democracies are open societies in which we protect free speech, and people are free to speak and think whatever they want, and that often includes conspiracy theories in which people are concocting ideas, theories, hypotheses about potential conspiracies. And the fact is, there are conspiracies. As you mentioned, big government agencies, big corporations, people with money and power often do conspire to do things surreptitiously without the knowledge of the person that's going to be affected or the group that's going to be affected. That's either illegal or immoral, and that's the definition of a conspiracy, and they happen all the time. So it's not irrational to suspect that there are conspiracies going on, and therefore being a conspiracy theorist is not some crazy position to take. It's reality. And so the question then becomes a signal detection problem. In the noise of the world, is there a signal in there that indicates there really is a conspiracy afoot? So the question is the conspiracy theory true or false, or we just don't know? And so much of my book discusses this. How many people would have to be involved in this conspiracy for it to be pulled off? The more people that have to be involved, less likely the theory is to be true. Mainly because people are incompetent, they can't keep their mouth shut, they get it wrong, mistakes are made, and so on. How many elements would have to come together at just the right time, at just the right place for this conspiracy to happen? Again, the more elements that have to come together at just the right time and place, the less likely the theory is to be true. Why? Because of randomness and contingency and incompetence, and just that's the way the world works. It's not as smoothly run and controlled as people think. And the bigger the conspiracy theory is, the less likely it is to be true. If it's a very targeted thing, we want to gain an unfair profit over our competitors, or we want to surreptitiously rig an election in a third world country because the one dictator favors our interests over the other dictator. These are very targeted conspiracies. But the grand conspiracies like world domination, control the world population or destroy an entire people, those are less likely to be true. Not impossible, but just less likely to be true. And so what I'm saying is that it's not irrational to be a conspiracy theorist. So I want to change the tone of the conversation to remove the kind of pejorative nature of that term, conspiracy theories, and just ask, is it true or not? That's all we want to know.
Yeah, thank you. One of the very dominant conspiracy theories that are coming from Russian disinformation sources is that United States is dominating everything in Europe. And it's like, if we take a look at this discussion and the next panel that just coming up that is full of brilliant experts, disinformation experts from the United States, one might have the influence that this conspiracy theory might be true as well. But and my next question would be connected to the topic of the next panel, because we would also like to discuss the conspiracy theories in the United States, and there seems to be a rise in the acceptance and also the spread of conspiracy theories. How do you see what should we expect before the next presidential election in the United States? And does the Middle East conflict give a new momentum for conspiracy theorizing in the US like it definitely does in Europe?
Yeah, certainly. Well, a couple things there. Yeah, I'm worried about the 2024 election. It probably is going to be Trump versus Biden. It's probably going to be close because all presidential elections are pretty close. The country is largely divided left and right. People mostly vote their party, even if they don't like the candidate. So, it's going to end up within a percentage point of the raw vote, one way or the other. And then it come down to that electoral college system. And it could come down to another Supreme Court decision, like in the year 2000 of Gore and Bush. But in that case, there was a peaceful transfer of power. Trump has made it clear he has no intention of just peacefully transferring power, so that's a concern. I mean, I should say he has not said he will abide by the vote. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it won't be violence, but there could be. And I don't see a civil war like in the 19th century here, but something like more violence we saw on January 6th, or more militia-type groups forming. As you know, we have a lot of guns in America. There's more guns than people. So while I don't think there would be mass genocide or anything like that, like we're seeing in the Middle East this week, but there could be violence in which many people die. As for America's role in Europe, well, America has a role all over the world. I mean, that's just what we do. But all countries do that to a certain extent, to the extent that they can. They want to influence policy that supports our allies, that benefits us, and helps people that can't help themselves or in need, or there's a moral crisis, and that's but we can't do everything. So it looks like often picking sides or something like that. But the fact is, there's, let's say, 24 hotspots around the world in any given week or month, and we can do 6 of the 24 in which we intervene to try to help or do something. And inevitably, half of them aren't going to go well, because that's just the way it goes. And so it's going to look like a top-down conspiracy to do something nefarious, when in fact it's really mostly just real politics. That's just how it works. I mean, we know Putin tries to intervene in democratic elections, not just here, but around the world. But lots of countries do that. And the more power and money you have, and military might and so forth, the more you can do it. So is that a conspiracy? Well, if it's done in the open, where, we say, this is what we're doing, we're sending troops to this particular country to squash this genocide, which we didn't do in Rwanda, but probably should have, but we have done in other places where maybe we shouldn't have, it's a tough call. In terms of what's happening in the Middle East this week, well, that is, in a way, the Hamas conspired to murder Jews without their knowledge or consent. That is a conspiracy, for sure, by definition. And what Israel is going to do in response is probably going to be less conspiratorial, more just open. And just, they may not announce it ahead of time, but it looks like there's going to be, basically a door-to-door ground sweeping through Gaza just to try to get rid of the terrorists without killing innocent Palestinians. Because, and again, that's part of what it means to be a democracy, is you have to honor life and other people's rights. And terrorists know this, and they take advantage of it, which is why Hamas uses human shields, because they know Israel, the United States, and other democracies won't just wantonly kill anybody that just happens to be in the way. So they use that to their advantage.
Yeah, you painted a bit of gloomy picture when it comes to the upcoming presidential election, but at least you said that there will be no genocide and mass murder, which I think is already, these days it can be regarded as a kind of optimism. But going down this road, in Europe these days, and of course in the United States as well, there are a lot of discussion over what is the role of the social media in spreading disinformation, conspiracy theories, and also what to do about that. And in the European discourses and in European regulation, it is often seen as a problem that is coming from the United States, as most of the most popular platforms are from the US. So my short question would be a rather complicated one, but what do you think can be done with the social media, or should there anything to be done with the social media to stop the spread of disinformation and conspiracy theories, or this discussion over regulation does more harm than good?
Yeah, good question. That's a huge topic here. In general, I'm in favor of, just kind of regulating social media from the bottom up. That is, we all do it ourselves by going to other platforms if we don't like the platform that's dispersing disinformation. The problem is once you go down the road of top-down regulation, in which you set up some government agency that's going to regulate, say, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, to control for speech that is harmful or whatever, you could go start off at the top and just say, well, we shouldn't allow people to say "gas the Jews" like they were chanting in Sydney, Australia the other day. That is hateful. It's incredible anybody would say that, but there it is. But that's free speech. They're free to think that and say that if they want. But the moment you start down that path and you end up at say, well, maybe we shouldn't allow people to say microaggressions, which is a popular thing on college campuses now, is to weed out every last insult somebody might hurl at somebody else, which comes right down to what just all kinds of speech. And then you end up with compelled speech issues. Can you make people say things like preferred pronouns? You have to say somebody's preferred I have to. Should the government be in the business of censoring people or forcing them to say and think certain things? I think not in a free democratic society. What do you do about it? Well, we have to remember that, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, these are barely 15-year-old companies. It could be that in another 15 years, these companies won't be popular at all. It'll be somebody else. It'll be some other platforms.
Like TikTok.
And for the most part, I think the fear of their influence is overblown. There's been quite a few studies now on the 2016 election and the role of social media in Trump's victory there. And it looks like that the Russian meddling using social media did not swing the election. People that are committed to their political party or candidate, they're not going to be swayed by some tweet like, oh, in that case, I'll vote for Trump or Hillary. I didn't see that tweet. That's just not how it works. You can incite polarization and anger in people, but that doesn't mean they're going to swap their votes, right? So that's what it looks like, and why we should be concerned about it. And on the other side, I should point out that in the run-up to the 2020 election, the Hunter Biden laptop story got squelched just before the election, and that looks like it was done by some government agencies influencing Twitter. Actually, the Twitter files revealed there were lots of memos from important, powerful people and agencies trying to get Twitter to participate in squelching the Hunter Biden laptop story. That not that the story would have changed people's votes. People who were going to vote for Biden were never going to vote for Trump, regardless of his son's laptop and what's on it. But the fact that people were trying to do that, not just from the bottom up, not just social activist groups, but top down. The FBI agents, FBI contacting Twitter and trying to influence what gets posted on Twitter. That's disturbing. See, that's the problem. Once you set up the principle that it's okay from the top down for the government to regulate social media companies, where does it stop? And just to protect people's freedom to think and speak in a free democratic society, you really have to rein in government power, because the default position for thousands of years in all government agencies and anyone with power is to censor other people. That's what humans do. I don't know why. It's just we don't like other people saying and thinking things that are different from us. So it has to be protected constantly, regularly, every day, or else it's going to default into this censoriousness.
Thanks a lot, Michael, for sharing us your thoughts and for waking up so early to be with us. And thanks for all of you, by the way, to staying with us. And let me ask a big applause for Michael.